Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You are watching Shiraz Khan YouTube channel. I say welcome to in my channel. In the last video, I discussed with you about the brief introduction about the science. Then I talk about the different branches of the science and main divisions of the biology. Today we are going to learn about the different branches of the biology. So boys and girls, there are many branches of biology, but in your book they have discussed only 16 different branches of the biology. So let's try to understand it one by one. Number first, we have cell biology. We say cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Life arises from the cell. Cell consists of various parts. For example, we have the plasma membrane, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. The membrane which is present around the cell, that membrane is known as the plasma membrane or cell membrane. Inside the cell, there is a region, and that region is known as the nucleus. And around the nucleus, there is also present a membrane. That membrane is known as the nuclear membrane. So we say nucleus is the control center of the cell, and it contains genetic material. The DNA is present there. There is also a region inside the cell, and that region is known as the cytoplasm. So basically, cytoplasm is the region of the cell which is present between the plasma membrane and the nuclear membrane. So if someone asks me the question, what is cytoplasm? So always keep in mind, cytoplasm is the region which is present between the plasma membrane and the nuclear membrane. And we say it's a semi-liquid portion of the cell. What does it mean by a semi-liquid portion? It means that it's a gel-like structure. It has some property of liquid and as well as solid. So that's why we say it's a semi-liquid portion of the cell. Inside the cytoplasm of the cell, various specialized structures are present, and that specialized structures are known as the organelles. So number of organelles are present there inside the cell, and they perform different functions. For example, we have the mitochondria, right? And we have the ribosome. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It produces the energy for the cell, and ribosome is the non-membrane bounded structure which is present in the cytoplasm of the cell, and its main function is to synthesize the protein for the cell. That's why we say it's the protein synthesis machinery which is present inside the cell and in the cytoplasm of the cell. And if I talk about the nucleus, so we say nucleus is the control center of the cell. In animal cell, it is located at the center of the cell. But in case of plant cell, it is located at one side of the cell because of the presence of the large central vacuole, inside the cell. So that's why the nucleus is pushed, toward the one side of the cell. Keep in mind, boys and girls, that cell has the ability to divide. They divide by the cell division. And you know well that there are two types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. Through that cell division, they increase, their number. So what is cell biology? Cell biology is basically the branch of biology in which we study about the cell, structure of the cell, different functions of the cell, different organelles present inside the cell and its functions, and the cell division. Number second, we have Histology. Histology is the branch of biology in which we study about the tissue. We say that the microscopic study of tissue is called histology. The question arises here, what is tissue? We define it as the group of similar cells which perform the same function, that is called the tissues. In our body, we have different tissues and they perform different functions. For example, we have epithelial tissues, we have connective tissues, we have nervous tissues and muscles. They perform different functions in our body. So whenever we study these tissues in detail under the microscope, so we study that in the histology. So if you want to give a definition of the histology, so we say it's basically the branch of biology in which we study about the tissue, and the microscopic study of the tissue is called histology. The next we have embryology. The branch of biology in which we study about the embryo is called embryology. As you know that God created most of the organisms in the form of pairs. They have the concept of male and female. They have different reproductive organs and they produce different types of gametes. In case of male produces the sperm and the female produces the egg. When the sperm and egg they unite with each other, they make a zygote. Then that zygote undergoes by various developmental stages and they become an embryo. The embryo is then implanted, in the uterus part of the female body where they undergo by various developmental stages and become a complete individual. So the branch of biology in which we study about the embryo and its different developmental stages from the gametes formation till the formation of the complete individual, it is called the embryology. The next we have physiology. Physiology is the branch of biology in which we study about the functions of different parts of our body. It's called physiology. As you know that our body has different parts and they perform different functions. For example, we have heart, we have eye, ear, kidney, and various other parts which is present in our body and they perform different functions. For example, heart. Heart is basically an organ, and we say that it's a pumping organ. It pumps the oxygenated blood to the various parts of the body. That's why we say it is a pumping organ. We have the kidney. Kidney play a very important role in the excretion of nitrogenous waste product. For example, in the removal of the urea from the body. Similarly, we have eye. This is the part of our body through which you can see the beauty of the nature. So the branch of biology in which we study about the functions of different parts of the body, that is called physiology. Next we have parasitology. The branch of biology in which we study about the parasite is called parasitology. The question arises here, what are parasites? Parasites are such kind of organisms which get food and shelter from the other organism, and that organism is known as the host. And the parasite harm the host. If I talk about the types of the parasites, so we say that there are two main types of the parasites. One is the ectoparasites and the second one, that is the endoparasites. So what is the difference between the ectoparasites and endoparasite? So we say in ectoparasite, the parasites live on the surface of the host and they get food from the host. For example, we have mosquitoes, lices, and leeches. They suck the blood, from our body. So they are the ectoparasites. And in endoparasites, they are such kind of parasites which live inside the host body. So they get there the food and shelter from the host. For example, we have the viruses, the bacteria, the tapeworm, and the plasmodium. So they get the food and as well as the shelter from the organisms. So the branch of biology in which we study about the parasite, that branch is known as the parasitology. The next we have biotechnology. Biotechnology is the branch of biology in which the other living organisms are utilized to synthesize the useful products for the human beings, particularly the microorganisms such as the bacteria. For example, insulin production. As you know that insulin is a hormone which is produced by the pancreas present in our body. Insulin helps in the absorption of glucose from the blood to the cell. Sometimes, due to certain reasons, the pancreas does not produce insulin in sufficient concentrations. So then you will have to take that insulin, from other sources, right? And they causes the disease. That disease is known as the diabetic mellitus. And in general words, we say that that is the patient of the sugar. So basically, in sugar patient, the insulin is not produced properly. So we have to take the insulin from outer sources in the form of medicines or in the form of injections. So how the scientists, they produce insulin from the outer sources. So actually, they get the genes which produce the insulin, and that gene is inserted in the bacteria. The gene which is inserted in the bacteria, they express themselves there, and they produce the insulin. Then they extract that product from the bacteria, right? And then that is put it in the medicines, and when you take that medicines, then it works. So what actually they do, they synthesize, they produce useful products for the human beings, and particularly they utilize the microorganisms. So if someone asks you the question, what is biotechnology? So biotechnology is basically the branch of biology in which the other living organisms, they are utilized to synthesize the useful products for the human being, and particularly the microorganisms. The next branch is immunology. The branch of biology in which we study about the immune system of our body is called immunology. The immune system is basically our defense system. It protects us from the invasion of the microorganisms. Whenever the microorganism enter into our body, our blood has white blood cells. they attack on that microorganisms and kill them. If the microorganism is stronger than our immune system and our immune system is weak, they will invade on the various parts of our body and they will infect different parts of our body and they will cause different diseases. So the stronger we have the immune system, the lesser we will get, the invasion of the microorganisms, and we will not get, the diseases. So the branch of biology in which we study about the immune system of our body, it is called immunology. Entomology, the branch of biology in which we study about the insects, is called entomology. For example, butterfly, grasshopper, ladybug, and beetles. These all are the insects. So the branch of biology which deals with the insects, that is called entomology. Genetics. Genetics is the branch of biology in which we study about the genes and its role in inheritance. What does mean by genes and inheritance? Genes is basically the part of the DNA. It is basically a specific sequence of the nucleotide which control a specific function in our body. For example, our height. Height is a trait. It is a characteristic of our body. And height is under the control of a particular gene. Similarly, we have eye color. Eye color is a trait, is a characteristic, and it is under the control of a particular gene. So we can say that gene is basically part of the DNA and it is a specific sequence of the nucleotide and it controls a specific characteristics in our body. Inheritance. Inheritance means the transmission of the characteristics from one generation to the other generation. Inheritance means the transmission of the characteristics from the parents to the offspring. As you know that, and you may observe, whenever a new baby is born, we say that it is just like his father and it is just like his mother because they share common genes with their parents. So in genetics we study about the genes and how different characteristics are transferred from the parents to the offspring. The next branch of biology is taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch of biology in which we study about the naming and classification of the living organisms into groups and subgroups. It's called taxonomy. As you know that, there are two types of names of a species. For example, we have a common name and the scientific name. Common name, is difficult for the students to remember, and scientific name, is easy for the student to remember because the scientific name is used worldwide. So that's why it is easy to remember. So in the taxonomy, we give the scientific name to the species, and we divide the organisms into groups and subgroups. So we divide it on the basis of the similarities. So those organisms, which share common characteristics, so we keep that in one group. And the other which share, some characteristics with each other, so we keep that in another group. So that's why we say, we make groups and subgroups, in the taxonomy. So the branch of biology in which we study about giving the scientific name to the species, right? And divide the organisms into groups and subgroups, that is called taxonomy. The next one is paleontology. The branch of biology in which we study about the fossils is called paleontology. What are fossils? Fossils are the remains of extinct organisms. What does mean by extinct organisms? Extinct organisms are those organisms which were present on the surface of the earth in the past, but their last individual is lost and they are no longer present on the surface of earth now. So such kind of species is known as the extinct species. For example, we have the dinosaurs. Environmental biology, the branch of biology in which we study about the interaction of the organisms with other organisms and its interaction with the environment. We live in the environment where we have to interact with the other organisms, with the living things, and as well as with the non-living things. So in environmental biology, we study about the interaction of organisms with the other organisms, right? And its relationship with the environment, with the non-living things is called environmental biology. Socio-biology. In sociobiology, we study about the social behaviors of the organism. The branch of biology in which we study about the social behaviors of different organisms is called sociobiology. Anatomy. The branch of biology in which we study about the internal structures of the organism is called anatomy. In anatomy, we dissect different parts of the organism and we study dead parts internally in details. It is called anatomy. For example, if I have the heart of human and we dissect that part and we study that part in detail internally, so we will study basically the anatomy of the heart. So that's why I say the branch of biology in which we study about the internal structures of the living organism, it is called anatomy. Morphology. The branch of biology in which we study the organism and its different parts externally. In morphology, we study about the structure, the shape, and its formation of the organism and its different parts. Different organisms have different morphological characteristics. So that's why we say organisms are morphologically different from each other. For example, insects and birds, they have different morphological characteristics. Its structure, its shape, and its formation is quite different from each other. So the branch of biology in which we study the organism externally and its different parts is called morphology. The last one is Pharmacology, the branch of biology in which we study about the drugs and their effect on the systems of the human body is called pharmacology. There are two types of drugs. One is addictive drugs and the second one, that is the medicinal drugs. Addictive drugs are those drugs in which the person become addicted with it. It causes addiction. That kind of drugs are called addictive drugs. For example, heroin, opium, nicotine, caffeine. These are such kind of drugs which causes addiction, and it's not good for the health. If you become addicted with such kind of drugs and you do not use it, the person feel abnormal. So I would like to suggest you that please avoid from the addicted drugs. What about the medicinal drugs? Medicinal drugs are such kind of drugs which we used as a medicines. We use that drugs for the treatment of the disease. So such kind of drugs is called medicinal drugs. So the branch of biology in which we study about the drugs and their effects on the different systems of the human body, that is called pharmacology. If you are new here, please subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon. Leave the comments. If you have any question, my WhatsApp number is there. You can contact with me at 24/7. I am available for you guys at any time. In the last, I would like to give you a message. Please stay home and stay safe. Keep watching my videos. See you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.